You won't believe how fast you're going to be getting your super for this build. So this is an Arc Warlock build that will generate a boatload of ionic traces, and you're also going to be jolting a boatload of enemies, and best of all, you're going to be getting your super extremely fast. Want to play Edge of Fate but don't have the DLC? I'm going to be giving away the Year of Prophecy Ultimate Edition. This includes the Edge of Fate seasonal content, the next DLC Renegades, and also exclusive Star Wars skins. To enter, click the giveaway in the description and complete the entries. It's so quick and easy. The more you finish, the higher your chances to win. To start off, for the exotic armor piece, you're going to want to use this leg armor piece called the Geomag Stabilizers. So just to give you guys a heads up, they did nerf this exotic armor piece. To sum it up, they basically nerfed the amount of super energy going to be receiving when it comes to collecting ionic traces. So before, you used to get 7% for your super energy for each and every ionic trace, but now instead of it being 7, it is now 4%. But if you don't know what this exotic armor piece does, let me show you. So once you collect an ionic trace, it will grant you energy for your Chaos Reach. And as you're damaging targets with your Chaos Reach, it will extend its duration. And lastly, sprinting while near max bolt charge will grant you stacks over time. So when they mean by near max bolt charge, it starts when you have at least 5 stacks of bolt charge. So there's going to be 2 exotic weapons that you can choose from, but in the gameplay that you are seeing, I've been using the Delicate Tomb. Here's why. 1, this also generates ionic traces, and 2, whenever you collect an ionic trace, you can basically jolt enemies with this fusion rifle. And lastly, this is also very good when it comes to endgame content. And everything that you see when it comes to the gameplay, it is minus 50 power. And the other exotic I do want to mention, that if you are one of those guardians that really want to prioritize and getting your Chaos Reach extremely fast, that I do recommend going for Cold Heart. But again, this trace rifle isn't very good when it comes to endgame content in my opinion. So if you want to focus on getting your super extremely fast, go for Cold Heart. If you're one of those guardians that want to prioritize an ad clear and getting your super fast as well, then go for Delicate Tomb. But back to Delicate Tomb. If you do have the catalyst for this fusion rifle, in which I highly recommend, it's not necessary, but when you collect an ionic trace, it would partially reload the magazine from reserves. And what's really cool about this fusion rifle is that if you want to increase your damage even further by 20%, all you would have to do is hit fire. That's basically it. And as you're getting kills, you will have a chance to generate an ionic trace. If you were to defeat powerful enemies or opposing guardians, they will always generate an ionic trace. And we are going to be using a fragment to give us double ionic traces for this fusion rifle. But first, the super that you're going to be using for this build is Chaos Reach. As you activate your super, you can basically deactivate your super early to save you super energy if you like. That part doesn't really matter because we're going to be getting our super extremely fast. And also, you are going to be jolting enemies with this super. But if you want to jolt that enemy, you're going to have to deal sustained damage to that single target. When it comes to your abilities, for your class ability, be sure to go for Healing Rift for more survivability. For your arc melee, you can choose any between the two, but for me, I went with Chain Lightning. And while you are amplified, it would create an additional set of chains. And while we are amplified, you're going to be getting a 15% damage resist and other benefits as well, but mainly 15% damage resist. When it comes to your arc grenade, you can choose any arc grenade you like, but I went with Pulse Grenade. For the aspects, there are 2 that you're going to have to use. The first one is Ionic Sentry. This one is extremely good for crowd control, but in order for you to activate it, you're going to have to get either kinetic or arc weapon or arc ability kills to charge up the arc turret that will periodically chain lightning between nearby targets, and it would also grant a stack of bolt charge for each hit. While you deploy the Ionic Sentry, it will blind nearby targets on initial impact. I do want to let you guys know that if you were to accidentally throw this Ionic Sentry near you, it will blind you as well. The second aspect when it comes to generating ionic traces even further is Electrostatic Mind. Defeating targets with arc abilities or defeating jolted or blinded targets will create an ionic trace. Collecting an ionic trace will make you amplified, so this aspect would give us a 100% chance of getting amplified every single time. For the blinded targets is going to be Ionic Sentry. For the jolted enemies is going to be our Chaos Reach and our exotic weapon. There's going to be 4 fragments in total, and here's what you need to run. For the first fragment, go for Spark of Resistance for more survivability. While you're surrounded by enemies, you are more resistant to incoming damage. The second fragment you're going to have to go for is Spark of Frequency. Melee hits increase your equipped weapon's reload speed and stability for a short time. That part does not matter. The second part really does. While you are amplified, the effects are increased and you gain increased stacks of bolt charge from all sources. When they mean by all sources, they really mean by all sources. For example, you remember how for the exotic leg armor piece increase geomag stabilizers, while you are sprinting your max bolt charge, you will gain stacks over time. So while you are amplified, instead of you generating 1 bolt charge once you're at 5 stacks of bolt charge, you're now going to be generating 2 stacks of bolt charge every time you run. And remember, you're going to have to be at least 5 bolt charges in order for you to activate this buff for geomag stabilizers. The third fragment I went with is Spark of Discharge. This is the fragment that will give your Delicate Tomb will have a chance to generate 2 ionic traces for that initial kill. So arc weapon final blows have a chance to create an ionic trace. Collecting an ionic trace will grant you a stack of bolt charge. So this will give you 2 stacks of bolt charge whenever you collect an ionic trace. But remember, you're gonna have to be amplified. The final fragment I went with is Spark of Ions. Defeating a jolted target or defeating a target with bolt charge generates an ionic trace. So from the fragments that you are seeing, I'm trying to generate a boatload of ionic traces and also bolt charges so we could be able to spam our Chaos Reach much faster. So when it comes to the artifacts, here's what you're going to want to run. There's going to be 3, but the main one is on the 5th column called Elemental Overdrive. Picking up an elemental pickup or tangle will grant increase in damage to weapons that matching the same element. So we are using an exotic fusion rifle that is arc, and this is an arc build. So whenever we collect an ionic trace, we will get 10% increase in damage for the Delicate Tomb. The second artifact is on the 4th column called Elemental Coalescence. Defeating targets has a chance to create an elemental pickup matching your equipped super. And again, the elemental pickup is Ionic Trace because we are using Arc as our super, which is Chaos Reach. Final artifact to be sure to go for is Refresh Threads. This is on the 3rd column. Picking up an elemental pickup matching your subclass element or tangle while you have a strand super grants energy to the least charged ability. So once you collect an Ionic Trace, it's going to give you ability energy for the least charged ability. All right, let's head to the stats. Your main stat is to go for the super stat, and specifically I recommend going for 160 super. But first, once you reach 100 super, it will increase the amount of super energy you gained from all sources. And if you were to reach beyond the 100 threshold for your super, it will increase your damage. So why I said to go for 160 super on your stat? Because on your helmet, I do recommend going for double super font, because if you have double super font, it will grant you 40 super stat. So 160 plus 40 is 200, and if you have 200 super, it would give you 45% increase in damage for your super, and we're going to be wanting to get that for this build, because again, this is a Chaos Reach build. More damage, the better. But in the gameplay that you are seeing, I had 167 super because I want you guys to pay attention to the armor mods. As what you guys are seeing here, I really want to prioritize in generating a boatload of special ammo, so we won't have to worry about running low on special ammo for the Delicate Tomb or the Cold Heart. So you are going to be generating a boatload of armor charges, and every time you were to finish an enemy, it will drop special ammo for you and your allies. But if you don't like the playstyle for these armor mods, you can change it up if you like. If you guys would like to try out the build for yourself, the Mobalytics link will be in the description. If you guys did enjoy this build video, I hope it helped you and you learned something new. And if you did, I would greatly appreciate it if you were to hit that like button and also subscribe. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, evening, or afternoon. Take care and peace. I'll see you guys in the next video.